Hey, Darth, do you think that fucking DNA is
Have a
symbolic?
good one, man.
Darth would never say that. Darth
too,
is
Mr.
an idiot, but he's not anywhere near as dumb as
Didn't
that.
we make
Tag
didn't
out,
we
tag
make
out.
the word DNA ourselves? And didn't we make the English language ourselves? Like,
Never
Is DNA
underestimate the
symbolic?
stupid things that Darth
Totally
would say.
tagged. They tagged.
What do you mean, Dart? It was Miss Batman.
You need to pay
No,
attention.
Claire
to this if
said
you're gonna
that he wouldn't
comment on
say
his
something
art.
that's stupid. I believe he would.
Yeah, maybe deep in a conversation when he's like walked himself into a corner, but not as like the basis of an argument. He'd at least have the common sense to try and make a better initial argument.
Yeah, the symbolism is centered around tokens, and you can have different tokens representing the same thing, like we do in
Okay,
different languages around the earth. The
Never mind.
the coding sequences in DNA are tokens, right?
Yeah,
Whether you want to believe that they're tokens that arose by chance or by design, the sequencing in DNA are tokens.
Okay, explain why they're tokens.
Symbolic.
Go ahead and explain what makes them tokens.
A token is something that represents something else.
No, they don't represent anything.
Okay, well,
They're
I'm
like
trying to
little
answer you, and
things
you're
that
over talking me.
structures
You're
of cells.
over talking me.
Yeah,
I
you're
don't
over
want to
talking.
have.
Yeah, come on.
I don't want to have to server mute you. Okay.
But you're going to say false things, I'm going to
Okay.
call you out.
Now, yeah, and if you ever talk me again, you'll be server muted. Okay. Now, when we talk about symbols, we're also talking about tokens, and words are tokens. They're tokens that represent. Okay, and you can have two different cultures. One has one token for, let's say, what we would call dog in English, and they can have another word in another language, token, that represents that as well. The nucleotide sequences are tokens of instructions to build amino acids and other regulatory functions. It's not just it's not just coding for proteins, because there's a whole array of instructions. We're just beginning to scratch the surface to understand that the bulk of the human genome doesn't code for proteins, but that it codes for regulatory functions such as embryological development. So,
Holy shit.
Mr. Batman is correct that it is symbolic. The reason why some people in here want to object to it is because they think that the coding sequences have arisen by pure happenstance, and therefore they think that if something is the product of happenstance, it can't possibly be a token. Well, that's totally false.
Yeah, basically, you made no justification whatsoever. You just claimed that
That's
is the
downright
case
charitable.
because it's the. You said absolutely nothing to justify why they are symbols for anything. In fact, like again, they're like keys. They fit into spaces and structures of cells, and that elicits physical reactions. There's no symbolical exchange of information. There's no information whatsoever. They're not codes. Those are words we use to explain the concept in a semi.
What is a codon?
There is no code.
What is a codon? I said, what is a codon?
It's a sequence of nucleotides that form a unit of genetic code.
I'm asking high IQ. Okay.
No, I actually don't know because this isn't my area of specialization.
Okay.
However,
So hold on a second. All I wanted to know is if you knew the answer to the question. See, what you do in a debate is you quickly go from 0 to 60 into argumentative mode to hide the fact that you're speaking out of ignorance. A codon is a specific sequence. Don't overtalk me. Okay. Now, you're showing forth your ignorance that within the DNA code, we have triplets of nucleotides that biologists refer to as codons, is because they are a token for the cell machinery, the molecular machinery in the cell, to put together various polymers or chains of amino acids. So the codon, which you didn't know what it was, is actually a token. The reason why you're objecting to it is because you want to believe that symbols and tokens are only the product of minds or design, and that if you agree that there are tokens or symbols within the DNA code, that you're giving in to intelligent design, right? Well, that's another subject. But the fact of the matter is, a codon is a token for for the cell machinery to select a specific amino acid. It's very simple.
How does the codon, the structure that you just explained, how does that exclude itself from the analogy I gave to it being more like a key than a piece of code or information?
Let me explain something to you. Suppose we have a automobile service station, and the manager says to one of the mechanics, "I want you to get the blue, the green, and the yellow car, okay? And I want you to put the blue one first, the green one second, and the yellow one third." Now, those sounds, those sequences of vibrations are tokens. When we look in the DNA code, we look at the triplets of nucleotides, right? The nucleotides just don't code for proteins and amino acids. They code for other instruction sets as well. But when they code for proteins, they're actually coding in smaller pieces called codons. Those codons are triplets of nucleotides that represent one of 20 different amino acids that are used in biological development. So it nonetheless is a token. You just don't, your reaction is one of anathema, because if you admit
nothing
that
you said
that it is I'm not done yet. The reason why you're horrified at the idea that certain sequences is symbolic or are tokens is because you are afraid of the implications. And therefore, because you don't like the implications, you're therefore rejecting the notion that codons are tokens. But the fact of the matter is, they are tokens. It is indisputable.
So again, I'm a theist. I have no issue with the idea that intelligence created us or anything else. That's not a problem for me. The problem I'm having is that you're attributing qualities to informational communication to a process in which there is no sentient agent on either end of the alleged communication.
Okay.
Neither the cell,
nor the
DNA, nor the codons are intelligent actors. These are mechanistic chemical processes that we are describing in a sense.
Do you know what a token is?
You just explained like 10 times what a token is.
Yeah.
Do you fail to connect that to the codons? Just because they're called codons doesn't mean they're actually codons. You said, "Oh, there's." Do
you know? Okay. Do you know what a token?
It codes for more complicated processes than just one thing. Therefore, it's symbolic. That just means it's more complicated version of the thing I already described.
Listen, dude.
Go ahead.
The problem in conversing and debating with you is you're just a motor mouth. You don't know how to have an interchange. Every time I've dealt with you, you just simply talk past me. Now, do you know what a token is?
Can I interject?
Jesus
Hello.
There's something that represents something else.
Let them finish.
I would appreciate it if you'd stop attacking high IQ alpha female, and also
high IQ. Okay, all right, your server me.
Duncan.
Now, high IQ. What is a token?
Just said it's something that represents something else. A symbol.
Okay, are codons tokens?
Times you're not fucking positing a complicated definition. You're just positing an invalid one.
Are codons tokens?
No, you have failed to demonstrate why they're tokens.
Okay. So a codon is not a token. A token is something that represents something else, right?
Yeah. What does a codon represent that it does not?
Right. A codon. If you ask anybody, even a high school student who's taken biology, they will readily understand that a codon is a token. Even if you think that its tokenness happened through happenstance rather than design. Codons, by their very nature, is a token because it represents it's kind of like let me ask you this
Not justifying. What does it represent?
High IQ. I want to ask you a question. Are you familiar with architects' blueprints? Hello, are you familiar
Yes.
with an architect? Okay, now is an architect's blueprint, is that a token?
You know, we can go ahead and say yeah. It's actually a blueprint, but yeah, we can say it's a token.
Yeah, is a blueprint a token? Yeah.
No.
Hold on, I gotta turn some equipment off.
Not actually, but I'm going to go ahead and say yes because I want to hear your.
Where did he
train
get
of
this
logic.
word token from?
From his ass.
A token is a linguistic term
No,
representing the
Duncan.
nature
Duncan.
of things. Now, I'm not. Listen, dude, we're not doing this. I'm talking with one person at one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, let him try and justify.
Is a blueprint a token?
A blueprint is a drawing representing a concept of a physical structure that may or may not exist.
That's exactly.
If that's how you want to define
good.
a token, we can say that.
A token is something that represents something else. Okay,
Sure.
Is a blueprint a token?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know why it's a token? Because an intelligent person
dude, listen to
and
me. Listen to me. You need listen. If you want people to listen to you, you've got to get out of this argumentative mode. I'm perfectly willing for you to debate against me vigorously, but you got to stop with this childish mode of just simply being argumentative and fast talking, because you're not going to persuade anybody, even people who are on your side. Now, is a blueprint a token?
I already said a blueprint can be defined the way you define a token.
Is
it's created by an intelligence and interpreted by an intelligence. Therefore, it's an information
I didn't say anything about its origin.
I just explained to you why I would agree with that definition.
Listen to me, dude. Did you even listen to my?
Are you mad at me for defining it for you?
No, I'm not mad at you. I'm being assertive. Again, listen. You see, this is the problem. Is every single time that I've dealt with you, you are belligerent.
It's because you constantly overtalk.
Being belligerent does not make you look like a good debater. I'm not gish galloping. I'm attempting to converse with you right now. And right now, everyone in the room, even people who don't like me in the room, people who people who don't even agree with me in the room, are recognizing that you're just being belligerent.
That is false.
You're still wrong. Go ahead and justify.
Okay, now is a blueprint a token?
A blueprint is a token as you defined it because it's
just say yes.
That's all I want to know. This is not very complicated. This is not rocket science. Now, if a blueprint is a token, right? Or for example, if somebody says to me, "How do I get to San Francisco?" Right? And I say back to them, 66, then turn right, go north, and then turn left at the bridge. Okay. Now, those sound waves are tokens, right? Now, if something represents something else, by definition, it's a token, regardless of its origin. We can have situations where machines, okay, non-conscious entities produce tokens, right? So non-intelligent machines can spit out tokens. Okay, do you understand that?
Okay, again, they're only tokens in virtue.
Can machines produce tokens?
They're information that they are intended to transmit.
Can a machine
are designed by
a machine? Listen, can a machine produce and output tokens?
Again, they only do it by virtue of the fact that they've been instructed to do it by the intelligence that designed the machine.
I didn't ask you what the origin was. Okay? Now, listen, dude, you really need to up your game and converse and debate like an adult instead of an angry little teenager. Now, I asked you a very simple question. I'm keeping this very simple so that at least you can understand it at your level. Can a mechanistic process output tokens?
Only if they were instructed to do so by an intelligence.
No,
that designed
no.
them.
I didn't ask
Yes.
you what its origin was. Oh, I didn't ask you what its origin is. Okay. Now, I want to ask you a question. Do the sequencing in the nucleotide arrangement, do they represent instructions for the cellular machinery to build polymers?
Nope.
Okay, listen. Okay, now I understand the fundamental problem. You are fundamentally ignorant of basic biology. If you actually had some education in fundamental biology, you wouldn't have made. You wouldn't have made.
I'm not going to
you wouldn't
grant
have
you the
made.
answers
Don't
you
over.
want.
Don't over
So you can
talk me.
manipulate the
Okay,
dialogue
you're now
disingenuously.
server. You're now server muted. Now I realize what I'm dealing with you. All right, is you're highly opinionated, which is fine. You're highly motivated, which is fine. But in this situation, you are not only emphatic, you're boldly assertive, but you're speaking out of fundamental and complete ignorance at a basic level of biology. And so it's completely superfluous and a waste of time trying to converse, dialogue, question, and debate you on this very issue when all you simply fall back is on your argumentative and belligerentness when you're speaking out of ignorance. Now, you just spoke out of complete ignorance when it comes to the fundamental nature of biology,
I
sir.
gave you a facetious answer because you felt the need to repeatedly interrupt my previous answers because you knew that in allowing me to fully define my statement, I would create a defeater to your definition of token.
Go ahead,
yeah,
Claire.
you're just
Genuinely,
What is your
I have no
defeat?
patience for it.
What
So
I
yes,
would-
I gave
what
you
I
a
would
final
suggest-
facetious answer to derail the
No.
conversation,
Yeah.
to demonstrate to
No,
you
what I would
that I don't have
suggest
to
you do-
indulge your bullshit any more than you have to listen to my actual
Yeah,
complete
so
answers.
so
Fuck
now
yourself.
it's become crystal clear to me that you're not somebody who's actually worthy of debating because you're just an argumentative teenager.
May I discuss
all
this
you
with
are.
you then?
You will. I have to leave in 10 minutes, so I can give you 10 minutes.
Sure.
Okay. Can I set up an opening statement?
No. Let me just ask a
Listen,
question.
got it. Listen, I have 10 minutes. I have to go. I'll be back in 25 minutes, okay? But I
That's
have
fine.
10 minutes, and I have to leave, and I'll be back in 25.
That's correct. But Darth, didn't Claire conceding that tokens necessitate intelligent design behind them, is conceding.
No, I never discussed intelligent design.
of course not.
I just simply exposed his fundamental ignorance of basic biology. He didn't even know what a codon was. Okay. Now, listen, I'm not going to come to this table and present myself as an expert in biology. I know enough about basic biology to debate certain things.
You ever talked to Squishy before?
Okay. Yeah. Squishy.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Sorry,
Yeah,
you ever
I
talked to
believe
Squishy?
so, yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Nepicros. Go ahead, man.
So anyway, the bottom line is the reason why he so violently objects to Mr. Batman saying that there's symbolism in it is because of the implications. Another
He goes trying to imply that I'm an
let me
atheist
give you
and has a
please
problem
do
with
not
intelligent
overtalk
design.
me.
Here he
Do
goes.
not overtalk
Continually
me. Do not overtalk me. Okay? Now, I'm going to give an analogy here. It doesn't prove what I'm saying, but it should help to illustrate to people what's going on here. The reason why he's objecting to what Mr. Batman's saying, Mr. Batman is correct. For most of what I heard him say was correct. The reason why high IQ, which I'm going to call him low IQ from now on, objects is because of the ramifications of what Mr. Batman says. And the analogy is this: when it comes to the nature of the universe, okay, and what we call the fine-tuning of the universe is fine-tuned for the life that we see and exist, down to not only a subatomic level, But even Leonard Susskind, the world-renowned physicist, who is himself an atheist, acknowledges the fine-tuning of the universe, that the universe is mind-bogglingly fine-tuned to permit life. But he's an atheist, right? And you can see him on YouTube. He has some very good lectures. The reason why people object to the advocacy that the universe is fine-tuned in a way that results or provides for life as we know it is because of the theological ramifications. And so a lot of people object to the concept of the fine-tuning universe because of the ramifications. This is the same reason why low IQ beta shemale objects to what Mr. Batman says. Codons, I'll just wrap this up because I have to go in 5 minutes. Codons at a nucleotide level are tokens. Whether or not somebody wants to believe that the origin of the token is by design or happenstance.
Duncan, sorry to interrupt for a second. Could you change high IQ beta shemale or low IQ beta shemale's name to said name permanently on server, please?
No, don't do that.
No. Can I say one thing to Mr. Dawkins?
That would constitute straight up harassment.
Mr. Dawkins?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Mr. Dawkins, one person in this entire channel said that you aren't strawmanning me, and so far 12 people have agreed that you're strawmanning me. You might want to reconsider your perception of your place in this conversation.
You might want to reconsider that bad lipstick in your profile pic.
It looks lovely, actually.
What the fuck? Listen, let's
guys.
Come on, let's keep it.
I didn't get the same.
I think it's some nice lipstick. I let her.
Gary,
I like
your
it.
mom.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Dawkins.
Richard, go ahead, man.
That was so irrelevant.
Hey,
that was
hold up.
so
Hold on,
fucking
Mr.
irrelevant.
Hold up. Mr. Dawkins, I've muted you. Goodbye.
Oh,
that was so weak.
So that was stupid.
I have a question. Does information require a mind?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that would be the objection to his entire series of arguments that I already made several times. He refuses to. He's trying to say that there's an information exchange happening inside of DNA sequences, but neither end of that chain of events has intelligence to interpret information. They're purely mechanistic. He refuses
Well, I would say that information is out there. I mean, in form of data. And
it's not data.
In order for it to make
There's no
sense.
intelligence interpreting it.
No,
you
no,
don't
it is
understand
data.
what the word data means.
So are you saying that we create information like we create data?
Data is only data in the context that it has someone interpreting it to be data.
Yeah, but there is
Otherwise,
a
it's just
correlation
data.
in reality. I mean, there's something in reality.
I gotta run, folks. I'll be back in 25
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, thanks for the conversation, Darth. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.